Wait, you have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. You don't need a TV.
Television addict! Television addict! Television addict!
Hey everybody, welcome to TV Guidance Counselor. As always, I am your host, Ken Reed, your TV Guidance Counselor, as we get into the 12th and final month of 2020, a year we'll all be happy to see the back of, and I hope those words don't come back to haunt me in 2021 if it is somehow worse than this year, but I'm going to save my roundup for the final episode of the year. I'm going to do what I did last year, where I'll give you sort of a personal sort of director's commentary style week by week roundup of the year. People seem to enjoy that last year, and it was interesting for me, as I don't tend to go back and listen to my episodes or go back and look at these things. So it's pretty interesting. And this year will be very interesting. But we end the year with a great month, and I hope you guys are doing okay and you have battened down to the winter months as we close this one out. And something new, if you follow me on social media, which I hope you do if you listen to this show. I know there's more people who listen to the show than follow me on social media, but that's fine. I know that some of you aren't on social media, and that's fine, but you know that one of my comforts in these trying times is sugary cereals. I love kid cereals, have my whole life, and I eat them often. And every Saturday I get out the bowl and I fill it up with some cereal, and I sit and I watch old cartoons. Sometimes on YouTube, there are people who put them up with old commercials. Sometimes I get my DVDs out. I have a lot of DVDRs and I watch those things. And I have been doing that for quite a while and really leaning into that this year. But for the first time on the show, we have a sponsor, something that I have avoided in 7 years of this show, mostly because there was just not any products that were available to sponsor shows that I liked or that I thought I felt comfortable endorsing and having on the show until now. This week's episode is brought to you by Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon is an amazing company. They're based out of Brooklyn, New York. They make essentially healthy versions of the sugary cereals that I've been loving. And given that I turned 40 this year and that I have really been leaning into the comfort eating, I am very grateful that they do that. So I got the variety pack, which has 4 flavors in it. There is chocolate. There is a frosted, which tastes like marshmallows. There's blueberry, which is very blueberry. Yeah, it's very blueberry-esque. And weirdly, my favorite is fruity, which I did not expect. It's sort of their version of Fruit Loops, and it's very, very good. And the coolest thing about it is this cereal has 0 sugar in it. There is no sugar in this at all. 11 grams of protein and only 3 net grams of carbs in every serving. It's very, very good. It's keto friendly, gluten free, grain free, soy free. It's low carbs. It's GMO free. This is all good things. And I know that they're good for me and I should eat better. And this is helping me. If you want to buy Magic Spoon cereal, which you should, I'm telling you, it's very good. You can go to magicspoon.com/TVGC, which stands for TV Guidance Counselor, and you will get free shipping. There's also a promo code TVGC, which you can put at checkout to get the free shipping, or go to magicspoon.com TVGC and get the free shipping. Also, the coolest thing, and this is another reason why I was totally comfortable with having them sponsor the show, is they're so confident in the product that it is 100% happiness guarantee. If you do not like it, they will refund your money, no questions asked, which is pretty awesome. So you have nothing to lose. Try it. It's very good. As I said, the variety pack is a nice little sampler. The frosted's good, tastes just like marshmallows. And I go for the fruity, which is the most kid-like, I think. But they're cool. It's a cool company, and I'm happy to have them sponsor the show. So again, go to magicspoon.com/TVGC for TV Guidance Counselor, or put in TVGC at checkout and you will get free shipping. Buy yourself a variety pack. And then this Saturday, I'm going to be sitting down and watching, I don't know if I can say this, but no, I got a bootleg DVD of Wildfire, which I'll be watching. Some people have also uploaded some episodes of the show on YouTube. You can watch that. But it's either going to be that or the Completely Mental Misadventures of Ed Grimley, which they put on a DVD a couple of years ago, which is amazing. So anyway, thank you to Magic Spoon. Thank you for doing good stuff in a year of horror. Speaking of good stuff, this week's episode features someone who I've wanted to have on the show for a really long time. I've been on his show a number of times. It is my friend Michael Cook, who is a fellow podcaster. You've probably heard me. You've probably heard me on his shows. He currently has a podcast called Hit Rewind, which if you don't listen to, you should. It is right in the complete sweet spot of people who listen to this show. And it was great to talk to him. And someday we'll meet in person. I'm not going to sing the song, but I could sing somewhere out there. Anyway, great episode. Y'all enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Michael enjoyed it. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guest, Michael Cook.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Michael Cook, how are you?
A long time ago.
How's it going?
I interrupted it. Sorry.
It's all right. No, it's your right to do
totally
so. It's America.
Yeah, we talked about this a long time ago, but then it's just one of those things where we get so busy.
Yeah.
And I feel weird asking. Well, also we were trying to find each other in the same place because you and I, remote is normal for me, but it's not normal for you.
Right, because you're in Oregon, right?
Right. Well, we keep missing each other,
Yeah.
too. I was in Portland, and then I moved to California to San Luis Obispo, and then you went to Portland,
Yep.
and then I went back up to Portland, and you went to San Luis Obispo. It's like you're avoiding me, Kev.
What, you moved there not to just hang out at the Madonna Inn every day?
God, it was so much fun. Oh, those are the best cakes ever.
Yeah.
It's gaudy, and I love every second of it. I worked at the Target right around the corner.
Oh, there's like a plaza around the corner, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's nothing else in that entire town aside from that place.
No, I think they have a beautiful downtown run by people who don't know what they're doing.
Okay, yeah. I was last year, it was this year. Jesus, what year is it? I was.
Do we really want to remember what year it is?
But I had plans to go to. John Waters was doing Easter at the Madonna Inn. And they were doing an Edith Massey tribute Easter egg hunt, and Tracy Lords was going to be there, and it was going to be a whole weekend, and I had a room booked and everything, but obviously was canceled.
Yes, I think everything's been replaced with drinking. Just
Yeah.
every event you had planned was sleeping in and drinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Just drink and bury them. So you're on the other side of the country. You're 3 hours behind me. We kept missing each other like Lady Hawk. But now that I can do things remotely, I could do things remotely before. I just really hated it.
I know. Well, yeah. Well, you've been on my show. What? This is our annual thing. You've been on my show about 8 times.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe you're probably the most frequent fill-in guest.
Okay. I'm the substitute guest.
Yes.
Understudy.
You're the one who entertains and just lets things float while the other bad kids get away with stuff, and then we have to go back to normal.
Totally. I give you a word jumble.
But Mr. Reed let us do this.
Well, he's not here now.
Yes.
Yeah, but I've gotten better at remote. I was never very good at it. That was my big problem. I don't have any of my skills doing these remotely, but I've gotten a little bit better at it, and so I'm a little more comfortable, and frankly, don't have a choice.
Well, yes, unless you want to risk it. Unless you're a moron.
Yeah.
It's all conspiracy.
Yeah, but it has opened up a lot of guests where there are cities that I'm not in, and you being one of them. We kept missing each other, and now it doesn't matter. And I had people in England and Canada and Ireland and all this stuff. So
You had DB Sweeney.
yeah, DB's in Chicago.
Me and my sister watch Cutting Edge all the time as kids, and we have an inside joke where we go, "Day Bay Swain." Day.
That is the way that's how he pronounces it. Yeah, not only have I had DB Sweeney on, but I've had Paul Michael Glaser on, who directed that movie.
Oh yeah, that's pretty
so
cool.
I just got to hunt down
and Band of the Hand.
and Band of the Hand. Although before we get into the issue here, and he and I talked about this in the episode, but do you know why he directed Band of the Hand?
I am assuming because his connection to Michael Mann, right? Because of Starsky and
Michael
Hutch.
Mann was a staff writer on Starsky and Hutch, but everyone was kind of a dick to him. And Paul, who's just like a ridiculously Boston-y Boston guy who used to hang around with like the crew and the writers, was like, he's a good dude, whatever. And then Michael Mann, 10 years later is Michael Mann. And he's like, hey, come direct some Miami Vice episodes. And he's like, all right.
Directed the good seasons, by the way. I bail halfway through.
Yeah. But so be nice to people, everybody, on the way up, because although we're all on the way down right now. But
I don't know what I was going to say. This year has been really testing my patience.
Yeah.
Am I the only non-celebrity to ever be on this show?
Oh, God.
Like I'm a normal Joe?
oh God, no.
Really?
Oh, there's all kinds of nobodies. Just kidding.
Oh, I'm sure they feel great about that.
I'm just kidding. No, but there's been a ton of people who are like just friends of mine or listeners or local comedians or other podcasters.
Yeah. Well, okay. Do you count what I do as the entertainment industry? Because I really don't think so. It's more of a hobby. I've been podcasting. You and I launched within weeks of each other. And it's weird that it happened like that. It also seems like I'm the Luthor to your Superman because you have all the hair, you're taller than me. Well, I guess I'm more out. You're kind of a withdrawn. Like you like being in the house. I hate being in the house. I hate being trapped. I want to be out in the society. And
no. I'm Fortress of Solitude, Superman. Yeah.
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 I was going to say Bizarro, but there's some stuff like when I went to buy, okay guys, this has been a rough year. I've been drinking a lot. I bought a puppet and he goes, what are you, me?
Yeah. Because I bought a puppet of Ted, my dog, and he's sitting behind me right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you had it made,
yeah,
huh?
It looks just like him. Yeah.
Is this normally how you do this isn't normally how you do the show. There's probably people getting pissed.
No, it totally is. There's usually a lot of just.
Well, this is how you and I usually talk.
It's true. It's true. Especially lately, there's just been a lot of chit chatty, which that's how it is. That's the world we live in now, and people will deal with it, or you know what, they can fuck off. And that's my personal guarantee.
That's your New Year's Eve sign off.
That's my New Year's Eve sign off. When I get the slot currently held by Ryan Seacrest, which has been offered to me.
I ran into him once.
Physically?
Boy, that is well, almost. He and I went to the same chiropractor, and that's a vacant soul right there. There is nothing behind those.
He's
eyes.
He's a little man.
You're not going to get sued for this, are you? For me saying
no.
Okay.
Are you being sued for soul accusations? Ryan Seacrest, he's like...
Prove it.
He's got to be like 5 feet tall.
No, he's as tall as I am, I think.
What are you...
Well, hold on a second. He was wearing a lot of biker gear. He might have been wearing lifts.
Wait a minute.
Shoes.
Ryan Seacrest was wearing biker gear? Like motorcycle?
Yeah.
No. Were you sure this was him?
Oh, this was him, because I was told by my doctor, don't pretend. I was like, I don't give a shit about Ryan Seacrest. That's fine, whatever.
So we're talking like the wild one, like Perfecto leather jacket?
No, like Biker Boys, Torque.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what those movies are? Oh,
No.
I got in trouble because I asked to do those two movies on a show that I thought was going to be about bad movies. Oh. It wasn't, and the host was mad at me.
So there's a series of movies called Torque?
Well, there's one with Ice Cube.
Okay.
And the other one is called Biker Boys with Lawrence Fishburne. They came out within a year of each other, and they both bombed, and they're both kind of similar, but they're both...
And they're both like black biker gangs?
Yeah, well, Torque is a kind of mixture. It's that guy from The Ring. What's his name? Henderson, I think.
I don't know.
I can't remember. But there's a lot of Static X played on the soundtrack. And Joseph Kahn directed it, so...
There's a lot of scenes that transition by someone going, wah! And then,
yes.
And then like a heavy guitar comes in.
And then, of course, Nickelback will pop in.
Yeah, well, let the bodies hit the floor. That's got to come up. Yeah, no, I never got into those movies. I presume they were made in the wake of the Fast and Furious movies, of which I've also not seen.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm not a...
You've never seen a single one?
No, God, no. Why would I see a Fast and the Furious movie?
I don't know. They just seem like they're stupid fun. They're the Universal Studios superhero franchise. It's so cartoonish now.
I mean, I don't even go see the
Yeah.
superhero movies because I don't enjoy them.
You don't? That's weird because you're a comic book guy.
A huge comic book guy. That's why.
Did you see?
Don't enjoy them.
New Mutants?
No, because I'm not going to a movie theater.
I'm afraid to watch it now.
I've heard it's very good. So they shot it here, and so I was kind of poking around and quizzing all my friends who worked on it, and every so often I'd see someone with like a New Mutants hoodie or a crew jacket, and I'd quiz them. And
beat them up for the
I would. Oh man, I would like to have one of those. And I talked to Bill Sienkiewicz and I talked to Bob McLeod about it.
Yeah, I remember
and
those,
they had seen early cuts, although Bob McLeod got a little screwed over in the end because they spelled his name wrong in the final cut.
Oh,
but
You got one shot. It was on the shelf for like 4 years.
Yeah.
You couldn't figure. Oh my god!
But in digital changing, they could easily fix it. But they both said it's exactly the comic they did and was great. So I still have good. I'm feeling positive about it. It's like the Swamp Thing series. Stephen Bissett told me it was they just made the comic he and Alan Moore did, and it is fairly accurate, I think. Although, I don't know if you're watching.
It seems so slow to me.
I mean, it's slow.
The Wes Craven one bored the crap out of me, man. That suit looks so ridiculous.
Well, the TV series is great though.
Yeah, I like the sequel.
Have you seen the?
Oh my god, I'm ruining this for everybody.
Have you seen the new series?
I'm so nervous. Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, although Doom Patrol probably the best Well, now Watchmen.
Oh yes,
Doom Patrol and Watchmen are probably the best comic book thing we've had in ages.
What the fuck is going on with Titans? I'm a big new Teen Titans fan, and can I cuss on this show?
Yeah, you can now. No one ever has before, but now I guess.
New fucking Titans. I'm a big fan of the new Teen Titans, and I watch this, and I just cringe the entire time.
It's very bad. CW, and let's try to be extreme. It's
the worst version of CW, though.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the Fast and the Furious, but all the other DC which was Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing were great. So, and Doom Patrol's getting a third season. So, hey, there you go.
And we're going to be talking about a DC show on this.
Oh, excellent. I'm excited about that.
I have to.
And just want to mention, friend of the show, former guest, April Bowlby, is in Doom Patrol as Elastigirl.
Is she? Wait. Is she the one that was on 2.5 Men? She's so hilarious.
Oh, she's great.
She's so damn good at that show, too.
She has a podcast as well that's very, very fun. Called 75 Reads. It's her and her friend Joe, and they got David Bowie's lists of 75 books everyone should read, and they're going through book by book, and it's a pretty fun show, and they're great. Yeah, they did the show Poolside in L.A. last year, about a year ago, I think. It was probably... Yeah.
Well, I think that's how all shows are going to have to be if they're in the same place. You sit on that one side of the pool, I'll sit on this side of the pool, we yell to each other.
Well, see, I had rented this amazing guest house, and the living room... you could open up like 2 double doors, like French doors, and there was the pool. So you could basically have like a shed next to the pool. It's pretty sweet.
LA scares me. I don't know
why.
It seems so overwhelming.
Oh no,
it's like so much, and which is weird because I lived in Portland. That doesn't seem overwhelming, but Los Angeles just seems like it's just nonstop. Like
Really? See, not at all. It's like very comfortable, and it feels small. Like everything's within a 15-minute drive of everything else. All the things you like are everywhere. Well, they were in the before times. You know, amazing, fun restaurants are open 24 hours a day. You could go to Bob's Big Boy whenever you want. You go to Cantor's Deli whenever you want. All the movies you like play all the time, and people from those movies just show up. It's like... It was like I should have moved there when I was 19, but I didn't. And here I am. But...
Hey, but you own a house.
I do.
That's the difference.
Well, the bank owns the house, but
well, you'll get there eventually.
We'll see if we still have banks and houses at some point. But yeah, no, I played it safe, and you know, I reaped the rewards here. But LA is pretty great when it's not on fire.
Yes. Yeah, my sister lives in Napa, and I lived there for a little bit, and it's always on fire. I'm like, oh my god, how can you stand?
Yeah, that's terrifying. Yeah. Actually, yeah, when I was out last year, when I recorded that episode with April, it was the first time. It was weirdly the first time I'd been out there when they had significant fires, which is strange because I'd been out there a million times for a decade, and this was the first time they had significant fires, and it really freaked me out. Like I had to cancel some episodes. Some people couldn't make it out. The thing that, and this sounds completely silly now, the thing that really freaked me out was I saw people jogging with masks on. And at
least they're wearing masks, because you know about the fire that happened. Excuse me, the fire that happened here just like 2 weeks ago up in Salem. Yeah. I mean, it was madness. Everywhere was just waves of ash, and there's just people out there having conversations for like a half hour without a mask on. I'm like, you guys morons, what is wrong with you?
Well, I mean, the fact that they're wearing masks was good, but the thing that freaked me out was that, you know, as someone who grew up watching so many dystopian science fiction things,
that's true,
that we just adapted and just move along like it's nothing weird. And that weirdly was not like encouraging and positive for me. That was like, oh, this is terrifying. We'll just deal with anything. And I don't like that. But speaking of horrors, this issue we did, this is literally my single favorite issue of TV Guide.
I feel gifted. You gave me that because I didn't know what to choose because I'm a TV-aholic too. And you and I discussed over the years, like, oh, I should do this or do this. What this year, whatever. And I couldn't. I said, screw it. You pick.
Yep.
Because I will have an implosion.
And I picked this. I've been saving this issue. This is my all-time favorite issue. This is October 27th to November 2nd, 1990. And this is the horror issue. The cover says, "Yikes, we go batty for horror on TV." And as a horror guy, which you're not, you've been trying to revisit some stuff because it terrified you.
Well, there's certain ones. I was hardcore horror in the 90s. I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies, so I was always like listening to my friends describe horror movies because I was a very sensitive child. Let me tell you this. I wouldn't sit on the ground for a week because of critters.
Well, that's fair.
Seriously.
They'll roll right over you.
Yeah. But my friends would just tell me like all about the Jason and the Freddy movies or whatever, and it was in the 90s when I was finally allowed to watch them when I went crazy. It's tapered off a bit. I don't really like the newer horror movies so much, but there's some stuff I really like, but I'm not crazy about them anymore.
Right. I mean, I recall, there's my dogs, I recall as a kid, like I always love horror. Like there were probably horror, comic books, and punk rock are like three things that I just came out of the womb enjoying. I was just like, I love this stuff. But I have a recollection of sort of the sweet spot of when my favorite things are is 88 to 92. So 1990s, right in the heart of that. And horror was everywhere, and you wonder if it's just like, oh, I was a kid, everything seemed like it was everywhere, but it really was this year, that late 80s, early 90s, we had this huge boom before it busted, and then we had about 4 years with nothing until Scream started, and then you got, Buffy, and you started getting stuff on TV. But this issue is sort of all about this boom we're getting, this sort of resurgence of horror on TV that had been...
Yeah, but not in the theaters, though. That's the weirdest thing, is because 89 is the notorious where Jason, Freddy, and Michael Myers all collapsed.
Yes.
Shocker collapsed, so it all went to TV. So yeah, we're getting the big boom on television now.
And I mean, and I think that what happened here is you had a generation of people who discovered horror on cable and VHS. So it was something inherently they watched at home. And so these theatrical powerhouses just didn't have that juice anymore. It became something people watched at home with their friends. And so it made perfect sense for it to come to television. And there was a ton of shows. And this is sort of a long, a couple years this had been building, because you had the anthology series that come back in 85 over the next few years with Tales from the Dark Side and Monsters and the new Twilight Zone. And so this was sort of building on that, but it's an amazing article. I don't know if you read the article at all, but it's right there on the front page. We got the made-for-TV Psycho movie, which was an attempt to reboot the series as a TV series.
Oh, that was a pilot?
It was a failed pilot, so it stars...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it stars Henry Thomas from E.T., who played a young Norman Bates. So this was basically what we got with the Bates Motel series. I think it was called Bates Motel, right? The newer series.
Yeah, but I also, wasn't there another pilot done a few years earlier with Bud Cort where it's called Bates Motel?
Yes.
That was a pilot as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So they've really been trying to bring that to television for years and to do this sort of prequel of young Norman Bates for years. And so this was one of the times. You also have Swamp Thing here. Yes, they called it Psycho 4 The Beginning. So it was an attempt to make this on television. You had the Friday the 13th series. It airs this year, the Stephen King miniseries. One of the best, worst TV series of all time, Dracula the series.
Who was in that one?
Nobody that you've heard of.
See, you know what they should have done? They should have hired Duncan Rieger from Monster Squad. I think he did such a good job.
The Dracula,
he was on Zorro.
I forget the guy who plays Dracula in it, but it's it was essentially like a tween show. And it was a syndicated show, and it was about these I'll tell you the description that says in TV Guide. It says, Dracula the series, which premiered last month in syndication, presents a vampire for the 90s. Geordie Johnson stars as Alexander Lucard, get it? A tycoon who merely wants to control the world. Two American teenagers know Lucard's a bloodsucker, and in the tradition of the Hardy Boys, attempt to stop him. So,
holy crap, I'm looking at the promo photo of this. It looks like a sitcom on ABC Fridays.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And it's pretty amazing. So I enjoyed that, though, because it was horror. And, it was on TV. I was going to watch it. So you had a lot of made-for-TV stuff. Night Vision started. Director was Wes Craven, who did a ton of made-for-TV movies. And Nightmare Cafe came out that year, which was a Wes Craven show.
Yeah, I got to watch that one when it was on.
Not great.
It's what you had on television at the time. But we're so desperate for anything that was super fantastical. That's not a word, is it?
It is now.
Phantasmagorical.
Yeah, there you go.
I steal it from the Beastmaster trailer.
Yeah. And you had Tales from the Crypt, which started technically in '89, but it was a very short first season. So this 1990 was sort of the true first full season of Tales from the Crypt. So this year is just killer, up and down killer. No pun intended.
Were you disappointed by Werewolf at all?
I was, because it just became the Incredible Hulk.
Right, the pilot's so expensive. It's got a great score, and it's just built up, and it then just kind of faded.
I think it's Rob Bottin did the werewolf design and the creature changes, which they just reused the same shots for the entire rest of the series.
Well, that makes sense. It worked with Manimal so well.
And I don't know if they did this because you grew up in Oregon, right?
No, I grew up in Indiana.
Oh, in Indiana. See, it's all the same to me.
I hated it so much that I moved to another place that's just like Indiana.
Oh, that's where Indianapolis is.
Yeah, I lived in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay. See, I've been to Indianapolis, and what a shithole. Sorry, everybody in Indianapolis, but you've heard my dislike of...
No, they wake up every morning going, oh, what a shithole.
Oh, it was so methy. And just like, it wasn't even like a cool shithole like Detroit, which was like Fallen Glory. It was just like, it felt like not even a mall, like a plaza, like a store plaza that no one visited anymore because there was just
Union Square, right? I think was this just a few years ago, and I warned you not to go out past the convention center?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Or just like that felt like the whole town. I did find a good donut place eventually, but and there was a part of town that was like kind of the hipster part of town now that like it was being sort of revitalized, and that was pretty cool. But the rest of it just felt like an entire city of a GNC.
Yeah, so I spent the first 26 years in Indiana, and then I just got sick of it, moved to California, and then eventually Oregon.
Okay, that makes sense. And I forget why I even asked you where you grew up, but what we were talking about now.
I don't know. It was always something. I was hoping you were going to find a TV guide from Fort Wayne because there's super specific stuff, but I forgot we don't do daytime or syndicated or weekend.
And I don't.
Have you ever done one about game shows? Because
we have done a game show one with Mike D'Angelo from Old School Game Show. We did a game show special. Yes, and we have done a daytime one. I think we did a homesick from school one with Lamont Price, but I don't have that many Midwest ones anyway. Oh no, Indianapolis is on East Coast time, isn't it? Fort Wayne. I don't know.
No, it's Central.
I don't know anything about Central Time. Those people.
By the way, please stop calling Indiana the Midwest. It's Great Lakes region. The Midwest is like Iowa.
Okay, so it's the same as like Detroit.
Yeah, I wasn't scolding you. I was just saying to the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Boston. I'm lucky that I've gone past Worcester. Most people here are just like, they're like anything past the town I grew up in is the Midwest for most people. But speaking of Boston, there's actually a big article in here about Ken Ober, who's from here. He is no longer with us, sadly, but he is the host and co-creator of MTV's Remote Control. He was a stand-up comic. He did some acting parts. He was in The Equalizer. He was in Miami Vice. But his biggest acting role was he was in the Rick Moranis role in the first iteration of the Parenthood TV series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so there's an article in here about that. Remote Control is a show that I've obviously talked about on this show, but is one of the major influences on me as a human being.
Did you play the game on the Nintendo?
Of course,
I love that game.
of course. And
you ran out of questions after a while, which was terrible.
Yeah, but it's one of the better Nintendo games, and it was also a great sort of just PC game when all you had was like Oregon Trail and Facemaker. You had remote control. And actually, my friend Greg Weimer, who's been on the show, he was the very first winning contestant on remote control.
Oh, wow.
And in my office right now, I'm looking at it, I have some of the prizes he won, which he gifted to me, including his remote control t-shirt.
This is like that perfect time right before cable really blew up for me, because in '92 I became obsessed with Comedy Central and MTV and stuff like that. We didn't have cable in the '80s; we were just too poor for it, and so it was easier for me to get through the schedule. Because if you were to say '92 or beyond, most of the stuff I was watching was not on a network.
It was all cable stuff.
Yeah, I was just obsessed with cable.
Because you just go to you do the thing where you have a home channel. So you basically just as soon as you flip the TV on, you go Comedy Central or MTV and you just leave it on there.
Yeah. And of course, since I lived in a small town, by this point we moved to the outside of Fort Wayne, so it's kind of a country town. We didn't get the full array of cable stations. We had to wait forever for some of these channels. We didn't get Cartoon Network, I think, until 2003.
We didn't get Cartoon Network until the mid to late 90s. Cartoon Network and Sci-Fi Channel, I actually went to our town hall meetings when I was 10 or 11 to ask when we were getting these shows. That's how bad.
You were jonesing.
I was jonesing. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
You were always a step ahead of me. It's so funny. I'm 3 years older than you, but you're you had to talk me through Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm your little brother instead with some of that stuff.
Yeah. I had no supervision and was seeing. Literally, Dawn of the Dead was the first movie I saw on VHS. When we moved into the house we bought, we had apartments between the ages of 1 and 3, and we bought a house moved in August 1st, 1983, and we rented Dawn of the Dead from Video Gallery in Melrose, Mass, and it was the first movie I saw on VHS, and I actually own the actual VHS tape that we rented.
Wow. Does it still work?
It does. When Video Gallery went out of business, I bought their shelving, which I have surrounding me right now, and I bought a bunch of their videotapes, and I got the Dawn of the Dead that I rented, so I have it right there, which is pretty cool. But I love that movie, and I've been thinking about it way too much lately because that's where we're living. But we should have just listened to Romero. But that's where we're at. So this issue, there's all that preview stuff. There's actually a fun little article in here about Jane Curtin, but it's about Jane Curtin's daughter, who they call Tessie. But she's actually a friend of mine now. And she's been on the show. She's a great writer and has had her own podcast. But when I scanned this for you, I sent that section, that little article, to Tess, and I was like, you've probably seen this, and she's like, oh my god, I've never seen that before. And I'm like, when you were 10 you were in TV Guide and you had not seen it? She's like, no. So she sent it to Jane Curtin, and Jane Curtin said, oh, I used to love that blouse. That was her response. So that was kind of fun.
She didn't know about it, or she had just never seen it?
She didn't know about it.
Oh, okay.
So imagine being 10 years old and your mom talks about you in TV Guide and you have no idea it happened. And then, 30 years later, someone's like, hey, you were in TV Guide when you were 10.
Yeah. I was on a TV show when I was a kid, and I've never been able to watch it. I cannot imagine how bad it is. I won a contest. Me and my sister both won a contest to see who could read the most books in a short period of time, whatever. We got to be on a show called Happy's Place. And at the end, he's like, okay, so when you get up to the mic and introduce yourself, you're going to say, we'll be right back, babe. And I was like, what? And I was the tallest, so therefore I was the last person to be in the line or whatever. I was like, I can't say that. And he goes, no, here we go. And I was like, wait, Will...
Do you have it on tape?
Be right back.
Have you seen it?
My grandfather has it on tape somewhere, and he laughs about it.
Oh, man.
He used to bring it up at Christmas.
You gotta.
You remember when you panicked on air?
You gotta digitize that.
Yeah, I don't want to see it, dude. I hope it. The only reason is just to preserve the thoughts of Happy the Hobo. Did you have a local kids host?
We did. We had a Bozo the Clown, which was syndicated, or was a franchise, really. So we had a separate Bozo the Clown than the Chicago Bozo the Clown. And my dad was on Bozo the Clown in 1964, and I found the episode.
That
was pretty fun. But we didn't really have much other than that. We in the 50s, we had a guy named, what was it called? Boomtown. He was like a like a cowboy. I forget what his name was, and a Rex Trailer or something like that. And it was a horror host, but it was aimed at kids, and his name was Feep, and he was an alien, but it was a light bulb, like a puppet made out of a light bulb. And
that's weird.
Yeah, that was in the 50s, 60s. We didn't have that much when I was growing up.
Yeah, we didn't even have a horror host. Well, it was Indiana, the city of churches.
Yeah, well, you're living in a horror. Get a Life also premieres this week, and that's reviewed in here, and they give it a...
Wait, is that... See, I missed some of these shows. I kept looking for, like, Newhart. Did that end by now? And Kate and Allie, these both end?
They had both ended by 1990. Yep, end of the season 1990. Okay. So fall of 1990 was the first year that they weren't on since they started. We had a lot of those 80s shows had transitioned away.
Yeah, because Family Ties, I think, ended the year before, too.
Oh, yeah, 89.
I have some oddball choices. I kind of want to mix things up so that you don't have to talk about the same things.
Oh, nice. Let's jump in. Let's go Saturday.
Okay. First thing I'm choosing is The Young Riders, but I will say this. In parentheses, I wrote The Family Man and The Hogans because if it was a rerun of Young Riders, I was going over to those.
So Young Riders was a show, it was essentially Young Guns 2, the series.
Basically, yeah.
Because I still have a theory that Young Guns doesn't exist. There was only a Young Guns 2.
Oh, yeah. Well, that first one is dark and poorly directed. It's just a really interesting idea, but that second one friggin' rules.
I mean, that's the one everybody saw and had the huge soundtrack and was a phenomenon, but the original Young Guns, like, might as well have not been a movie. People don't even...
Wouldn't it be cool if they brought them all back? Like, say it's the 1920s and they're retired gunslingers and they have to take on a town of these new upstarts. They're the young guns now that are bad guys. They're like mobsters who want to take over their little town out in the middle of nowhere. And now it's up to the old guns.
It's called Younger Guns?
Called Old Guns.
Old Guns. This episode stars a guest star playing a character named Teaspoon, Anthony Zerbe, which is always great to see.
He's so lovable. I love him on that show. I have the whole collection. Well, I don't have the whole collection. How would you put out a series that's missing 8 episodes, but it has nothing to do with music? It's not like Wise Guy. I have the whole thing, except season 2 is the collection. It's not the complete season. Oh,
it's probably rights issues with the actors, I'm guessing, or the guest stars.
Maybe, but why just 8 episodes? It's so weird.
That is a little weird. I'm surprised it went out at all. That's a fairly obscure series.
I loved it. We watched it every week. We taped them and watched them for years.
See, I am not a big cowboy fan. And this night, I specifically remember this night, October 27th, 1990. I was in 4th grade, I believe. And this girl, Katie Cannon, that I went to elementary school with, whose family was very well off, she had a Halloween party, like a kids-only Halloween party. So this felt very adult. And I had a huge crush on this girl named Courtney McElhaney, who I had told looked exactly like Brett Plevin's depiction of magic in New Mutants. Speaking of New Mutants,
wow!
And she was like, "All right, whatever." And so I went to her party, and I was going to dance with her, but I got scared, and then I just left. I just walked home, and I got home at exactly 8 p.m. and I watched this episode of Parenthood.
That's not how I thought the story was going to end.
Yep, and this is the Halloween episode of Parenthood, and Thora Birch was in this show as a very small kid, and it's a great Halloween episode. It is really, really good. It has that feeling of actual trick-or-treating, much in the same way as the Highway to Heaven episode, I Was a Middle-Aged Werewolf, that I always talk about, and a handful of other things, but it's really, really great. The other couple things that are on is the Halloween-themed episode of Lawrence Welk, which they still play every year on PBS. It's from the 70s.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the Horror Hall of Fame was playing, which was a syndicated show that was sort of like a horror award show they did for 3 years, and it was hosted by Robert Englund. Steve Johnson, who's been on the show, did little segments on how to do like makeup effects in your house, and it was so cool to have it was like a Fangoria magazine, the show. Almost.
God, do you remember that era? Gore Zone and Fangoria and all that stuff? I used to sneak... I said I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies, but I used to sneak down to the grocery store and see I was getting like bread, whatever, for the house, and I would spend a half hour reading Gore Zone until the lady at the front desk was like, "Could you put the magazine down and go already?"
I had subscriptions. because again, my parents didn't care what I did, and I had my own money, so I had subscriptions to Gore Zone and to Fangoria and to one called Slaughterhouse.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Which was very good. And one called, what was the other one called? Basically every single horror magazine I was, Monsters Attack, which was just recently re-released in a nice couple of series of books that was done by the people who
I think you sent me some of that.
Yeah.
The files.
PDFs. Yeah, they were doing, there's the people who did Cracked at the time, or did the Monster Parties, did like a serious monster magazine, and it's great. And on USA Network for Saturday Nightmares, they're showing Lady in White.
I still never see that. I gotta get around to that.
Lady in White is very family friendly. It's a horror movie, but it's sort of like the Wonder Years of horror, and it's very serious, but it's very sweet. It takes place in the 50s. It's very idyllic New England town. Alex Rocco's in it, so you know I'm gonna like that. And it's just very, very good. It's a movie I recommend to everybody every Halloween, especially if they haven't seen it. So this night, I mean, we just have a billion good things on, and I know exactly what I watched, but I might rewatch all these things.
Did you see that there was a movie called Only One Survived with Michael Beck? I couldn't find it anywhere. I was going to watch it on YouTube, but it looks good, but I couldn't find anything on it.
This is a made-for-TV movie. Yep, it's him and Perry King. So this is remote locales in coastal Brazil lend realism to Only One Survived, in which four buddies battle the elements and each other on a fishing jaunt that turns into a risky salvage expedition. A 1990 TV movie directed by Italian filmmaker and photojournalist Falco Guauci, who adopted his own novel, Danger Adrift.
Oh, did he have an American name, though? Remember how they used to do that with the Italian ripoff movies?
Oh, that was
Anthony Dawson, stuff like that.
That's like Lucio Fulci and Ruggiero Donato and those guys. This guy is pretentious. He's like, I wrote a book, and I'm doing my own book, so you're going to know my name. And he directed this. Yeah, I've never seen that. I'll see if I can hunt down a copy. It looks kind of interesting. There's some explosions.
I've heard Perry King's a dick, but I love Riptide, so...
I mean, yeah, he's cruising on that Riptide reputation, that Perry, in class of 1984.
Yes, that's a good one.
I don't know if I've ever met a man named Perry.
No. Perry Shen? He's cool.
Who's that?
At least he seems cool.
I don't know who that is.
He's in Hatchet. He's in the Hatchet movies.
Oh, I've not seen those.
Oh, okay.
But I have had Adam Green on.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
He's starred in the first two, I believe.
Okay.
Hatchet movies.
Okay. Yeah, I've met a woman named Perry, but that's about it. And 10 o'clock, Twin Peaks is on. That's Saturday
I've never
night.
seen Twin Peaks.
You've told me that, and that is insane.
I know, there's something about it. Okay, hate me all you want, but I don't get David Lynch. I don't get it.
He's not for everybody.
I felt filthy watching... I've seen... oh, crap.
Eraserhead?
The one he did after Dune. No, after Dune.
Oh, Blue Velvet?
Blue Velvet. I've seen that a couple times. It makes me feel terrible.
It's supposed
Dennis
to.
Hopper just... I know. And then everybody's like, you got to watch this. And I'm just watching. I'm just like, I'm lost. I don't understand any of this. But, yeah, I've never seen Twin Peaks. And it just feels like something that I'm not going to get. I'll just get frustrated.
You'd like it. It's not as obtuse as some of his other things.
Do I quit after season? What is it? When did they find out when they killed Laura Palmer? Do I quit after that?
No, because it gets bad and then gets really good again.
Oh, okay.
And I actually thought season 3 was amazing. But you can end after, the cliffhanger at season 1. And this night, the Saturday Night Live this night, Patrick Swayze's hosting. It's a Halloween episode. It's a fantastic episode. This is the one people probably remember, the Chippendales sketch with him and Chris Farley. But this is a great episode. So this night, this is like, if I could only pick one night of television to go back and revisit from my youth, it would probably be this very night.
Yeah, so after Young Writers, I have China Beach, which I've never seen. Have you seen it?
China Beach is great. Yeah, and I'm not a big war fan.
See, that's why I didn't want to see it, but I heard it's more about... Because what's the other one at the same time? Tour Duty?
Tour Duty was more of a war show.
Yeah, that one just tears you apart. And I feel like China Beach is a mixture of that and MASH, and I have weird issues with MASH.
Yeah.
But I would give it a try.
Dana Delaney is in it. She's amazing. She won an Emmy for it a year after the show had been canceled because it had just eked in. It's a great show.
Yeah, that's weird when a show happens like Freaks and Geeks, because they burned him off in the summer, right? That's how it qualified?
Yeah, it also happened to Alex Rocco for Famous Teddy Z. He won the Emmy for that like almost a year after it stopped airing. MTV also this night is showing This Is Horror, which was a 1990 series they did. They were an hour long. They did about 4 of them, and it was just like clips and interviews with horror directors. And there's one, this one has Dario Argento and George Romero and Alan Parker. And I loved it. I have a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them up on YouTube. But I mean, again, you know, you're not starved for content here.
So did your Saturday end at 9? Because there's a weird loophole, because this isn't a network show, but it aired on a network because it was syndicated. Do you count 21 Jump Street?
Yeah. You can watch 21 Jump Street if you want.
This is the season where it got weird, where they fired everybody.
Yeah.
But Michael DeLuise shows up for a small arc.
Yep.
And he's amazing. And then the show completely derails after that.
Yeah, and that was the season I think that John Waters guested on, right? Wasn't he? He was like a bus driver.
I feel like it was the year before, because Johnny Depp's already gone. And so is Dustin Nguyen. And so it's just Holly Robinson and a couple new guys. And Peter DeLuise shows up for a small arc, and that's it.
Huh. That's very weird. Comic Strip Live. I always like to see what stand-ups are on there.
Yeah, I love
this one has Franklin Ajayi, who is no longer with us. He is the subject of a very good Stuart Lee bit. Mark and Jamie, who I don't know. I'm wondering if they're like a ventriloquist thing. Leslie Norris, who I don't know. Mark Wiener, who went on to create Wienerville, which people know. Wienerville was an MTV Nickelodeon show with Mark Wiener as a kid show. He did these weird puppets where it was his head but puppet bodies, and it was a pretty unique act. And Gary Kroger hosted the show, who is a friend of the show.
Oh, yeah, he's I like him. He's very underrated when he was on SNL.
Absolutely, yeah. Gary Kroger did a ton of stuff the year before this. He was in a failed pilot that was a sort of a 30-something yuppie update of the Riverdale cast. He played Jughead, I believe. He was also in like 3 or 4 short-lived shows at this time. So again, this is still Saturday night. There's just good stuff all around.
Yeah, this is a pretty good night. I didn't even see Comic Strip Live. I used to watch that all the time.
Oh yeah, all the time. And then the Sunday Comics was on Fox later, which
is all confusing, because do you remember the syndicated show that was on at the same time on Saturday mornings called Comic Strip?
The Comic Strip. Come on, take a trip on the Comic Strip. It featured Tiger Sharks and Street Frogs.
Yeah, I love Tiger Sharks.
Street Frogs and that Karate Cat, which was a ripoff of Hong Kong Phooey, and the one that was about monsters that went to summer camp.
Oh yeah,
and that was on.
It's not Gravedale High.
Not Gravedale High. No,
else?
It was Monsters at Summer Camp. I forget exactly what it was called, but it and that one was on the least frequently. So you were like, oh, what's it going to be today? Is it going to be Street Frogs? Is it going to be Tiger Shark? It was Tiger Sharks. Yeah, but no, it was rarely on. Sunday, what'd you go with?
First thing is True Colors. I actually watched this all Sunday on Fox. Actually, Fox in general, I really locked into around this time. I was just obsessed with this whole new thing. The minute like Married to Children and all that stuff showed up in 1987, that was just like my station. It spoke to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was really programming towards youth, which no one was really doing.
Baxter alone.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I mean, you got Savage Steve Holland, but True Colors was basically like an interracial Brady Bunch, I guess you would call it. Mm-hmm. It was a controversial show at the time, which is kind of silly because it's just like a nice family sitcom.
Yeah.
And no one ever, it was on for, I think, like 3 seasons, and I don't think it really re-aired. It rarely comes up. I'd like to see it again. It's a show I haven't found tapes of. I haven't seen it since it originally aired, and I'm curious.
Yeah, so many of these shows. I will ask, I annoy you sometimes, I think, with a, hey, do you have this show?
Oh, no.
Have you seen this show? You're like, no, I didn't even heard of this. What the hell is that?
It is not annoying.
Okay.
And then you did Parker Lewis, I assume.
Oh, gotta. There's no way. Do you have any idea how disappointed I was with Ferris Bueller and Hall High? I almost didn't watch Parker Lewis, but nothing else was on, so I caught it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I liked some aspects of Hull High. Ferris Bueller's terrible, but Parker Lewis is just the best. And I've rewatched those episodes many, many times. It holds up incredibly well. Even the third season, which was a summer series and is really weird and great. And of course, I've had a friend of the show, Miss Musso, on the show herself.
Well, you've had like 2 others, right?
Yep.
You have Jerry?
Yep, Jerry's been on as well. It's a great show. I
quote it all the time. It finds its way into my vernacular at work all the time, and it's one of these things that's so unique, its own identity, and I feel like so many shows stole from it. You watch Scrubs. Tell me they didn't watch Parker Lewis and take stuff.
Oh yeah, and they, the people on the show think that as well. Absolutely.
I do enjoy the third season though, because that's when they realized that he can't be Mr. Cool all the time. Right. They had to ground him a little bit. They gave him a relationship that was more serious. That and they changed to Parker Lewis, right?
Yeah.
They got rid of the can't lose.
Yep. And it was when Fox did an experiment that was mixed success, but they basically thought, summer is all reruns. Kids are home from school for the summer, so let's do a teen-oriented series, but new episodes in the summer. So they did it for Parker Lewis, they did it for Beverly Hills 90210, and I think one other show. Beverly Hills 90210 was like a massive success. Parker Lewis, it got canceled after that. But that whole series takes place in the summer, which you forget. You never see your favorite characters in sitcoms in the summer because they don't do episodes set in the summer because they're not showing new episodes in the summer.
Is that when John Pinnette joined?
That's when
he
John
was like in Love. Yeah, he was like on every show for a while there on Fox. I don't know what his contract was, but he had a good agent.
He's another Boston guy. John Pinnette grew up in Malden, Mass. Went to Malden Catholic. Yeah, he was in the Revenge of the Nerds sequels, the made-for-TV sequels, and then they tried to make it a series. He hosted the Grudge match, if you remember that show.
That's what it was. Thank you. It was like a boxing show, right?
It was basically like a court show, but then you went into the ring with oversized novelty boxing gloves and like punched it out, and he was the referee. It was absolutely ridiculous, that show. Yeah. But yeah, he was on season 3, and season 3 was mostly about like Parker having a war with this sort of cool guy bully named Brad Penny. And
so annoying. This isn't on disc. You got it from Germany.
I got the German set. Yeah, 3. I got the German set. Yep. I got Baywatch Nights season 2 German. I got Misfits of Science German, and season 3 of Parker Lewis from Germany.
Did not expect the Baywatch Nights part. Is that good?
Oh my God! It's the one where they tried to be the X-Files.
Yeah, I remember the commercials going. No, I'm not going to watch it.
Oh, it is unbelievably crazy.
Okay.
Some saint on YouTube edited together all the 30-second next time on Baywatch Nights for the whole of season 2. So it's about a 20-minute, like, sort of greatest hits reel of all the episodes. And it is one of the most fun things you can ever watch because you can't believe, like, the next one is crazier and it just keeps getting crazier. And you should take 20 minutes of your life and enjoy that because it is fantastic. It is very good. And then you stuck it on Fox. You went with In Living Color?
Nope. No. I watched the first season and I bailed after that. And it's unwatchable now.
It really is.
It is so mean. So I went over to Cat's Eye. Cat's Eye, since it's an anthology, I figured I can grab at least one good segment.
Oh, yeah. You've not seen Cat's Eye?
No, I have it.
Okay.
I have it on Blu-ray. It's just, I figured if I land anywhere in the movie, I'll be fine because it's like Creepshow, so it's just you pop in on a story.
Yeah. All you would have missed is the James Woods Quitters Inc. segment, which is the first segment of that.
I'm good with missing all of James Woods.
Yeah, but Alan King plays that ex-mob boss, and he's really terrifying. He is good, but he was like that in real life, apparently. Alan King was seriously not a nice guy. He infamously used to go up to people after a show and be like, "Kid, I like this joke and this joke," and then they'd be like, "Oh, thanks," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm taking it." And then the people would be like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, it's mine." So he would do that kind of stuff, much like Built-in Burrow. But yeah, so you probably would have been on The Ledge you would have tuned in for. I think.
That's a good one. I really like Robert Hayes. I think he's underutilized, I think, in the 80s.
Yeah, although he got his chance a few times. I mean, he did star in Starman, the TV series.
That's true. I just think he's better as an everyman. They feel like a lot of times they're like, after Airplane, they didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah. Because he's not
really 50-50? Seriously? 50-50?
I mean, the thing about the people who were in Airplane and the Zucker stuff was they would get cast in comedic roles, and they're not comedians, which is why those Zucker movies worked.
Right.
Like Leslie
Nielsen stunk. Yeah.
Not
The
a
second
comic.
he left The Naked Gun.
Because when you start telling them to be funny, they're terrible. And they need to be very serious actors. So you didn't watch that. You watching Cat's Eye the whole night?
No, then I went over to Counter-Strike on USA, which I remember watching. My grandfather watched it a bunch. That's the one with Christopher Plummer and Simon McQuarkendale,
Yes.
I think.
Yes. I remember seeing ads for it because USA Network just promoted it endlessly, but I don't think I've ever seen an episode of that show.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about it. I just remember it was what they replaced Airwolf.
Yes.
You know that crappy season of Airwolf they did on USA?
Oh, yeah.
They reused all the sequences? Yeah, I hate that season.
Yeah, because USA
but they decided to put their money in, yeah.
USA was trying to get established, so they bought shows that were canceled by other networks. So you had Silk Stockings, Counter-Strike, Airwolf, Renegade, The Hitchhiker, and then they did Swamp Thing that year. This was the year that they launched the first time they launched their own in-house stuff that hadn't been developed elsewhere. And Swamp Thing.
Did
was
they buy Hitchhiker? You just said that, didn't you?
They did. Yep. So
just said that.
last few seasons of The Hitchhiker were USA Network co-productions, as was Ray Bradbury Theater, which they had bought from Showtime, I believe. What else do we got? That's everything Sunday. Monday, what'd you do?
Let's see. We are. This is gonna flip your wig. I know this. I know you have a wig. I've seen that hair. It can't be real.
Can't believe you just told everyone about my wig.
I know. I'm sorry. 8 o'clock. I watched Avonlea.
Avonlea, really? Were you a big Anna Green Gables fan?
Yes. I don't like the third part when she's older and it's really tragic. But we watched Anna Green Gables part 1 and 2 so many times growing up, and I've seen the show Tales of Avonlea. I don't know why it's just called Avonlea here. And then we watched Emily of Two Moons, which is from the same writer. We're a big fan. Well, also a huge fan of Stephen McHattie.
Wow.
Who was on Emily of Two Moons. So this whole world I'm really into.
And did you say you have a sister?
Yes, that's why.
Okay.
We watched Anna Green Gables for the first time together on
Disney.
I think it was on PBS. We had just seen. I don't know if we saw Silver Bullet before or after this, but I think that's where a fan of Megan follows.
That show, there's like a generation of women who were too young to get into Little House on the Prairie, but too old to be into Buffy, who absolutely love Anne of Green Gables.
That could be another thing. We watched Little House on the Prairie like a fiend, and that probably led us to. Yeah. I know, it was Indiana, okay?
Yeah, I just can't watch anything without electricity. It just doesn't do it for me. You passed up the 1 hour Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Halloween special.
I know. See, that's the thing. I used to watch that too. I was torn because I used to watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air all the time, and I just never revisited. So I don't know.
The guest stars are Quincy Jones, Kadeem Hardison, and Bo Jackson. I mean, you don't get more 1990 than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was a big Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff listener too. I had all those tapes.
Heavy D's in this episode of The Boys.
Now I have to change it. Thank you. You just ruined that one.
Yeah, I mean, now that we found love, what are we going to do?
All right.
Also, Salem's Lot is playing on Channel 17 that night, which is... I watch it every Halloween. It's
Do you like the remake? I absolutely adore the remake.
The Rob Lowe one? It's good.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, okay, cool.
It's more like the book. Although the miniseries improved on a couple things in the book. One of them being it introduced that James Mason character who's not in the book as sort of the familiar of Mr. Barlow. And because Mr. Barlow's like a person in the book. And
right,
he's not
turned
a
him
monster,
into like a Nosferatu.
which is perfect. That he's a friggin' monster, and you have that sort of suave James Mason, and that makes it perfect. But which they carried over into the Rob Lowe miniseries.
Yeah, that's the only part I think they made a mistake. If they're going to turn Rutger Hauer into the more of the debonair human-like vampire, they probably should have got rid of Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, it was an unnecessary character at that point. But yeah, no, I like the miniseries quite a bit, and I actually really like the Larry Cohen Return to Salem's Lot, which is pretty fun. It's got Sam Fuller, the director, acting in it.
That's so weird, right?
As a Nazi hunter. Oh man, you got weird Tara Reid in there. Michael Moriarty,
just everything he does is so weird.
Oh, he's a real strange guy. a very talented jazz pianist.
Really? Wow.
Yep. And actually, speaking of wigs, Michael Moriarty is completely bald, and
Yeah, I kind of want that wig.
Every
Can you sell it to
role,
me?
I can sell it to you. Every role, he gets a new hairpiece, and that's how he does the character.
Oh my god, that's what Samuel L. Jackson does. I wish I could do that.
Well, you just got to start getting an acting career. Start working with Larry Cohen. Just resurrect
I can't
him.
remember a line of dialogue. I cannot remember.
I can't
anything.
either. I can't either. You're gonna have to.
In college. I got a scholarship to be in a play.
Oh.
And well, I'm a theater major. That's what my degree is in.
Okay.
But I was always behind the scenes, the technical stuff. And then they said, well, in order to qualify for the scholarship, you got to audition for this play. And I was like, fine, whatever. It's $800. I'm not going to get this. I'm a terrible actor.
Right.
And the guy quit that I was the understudy for. And he's like, you got 2 weeks to remember all this dialogue. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what now?
Oh, that's
and it's
terrible.
Like pages. And it was horrible. I had to apologize to the audience the first night because I couldn't remember the lines.
Oh man, that actually sounds entertaining.
I know, but that's why those sketches I do with Marvin are all improv. I can't remember a lot of dialogue.
No, I'm the same way. That's why I do stand up, because I couldn't remember anything. If anyone else had written me things, I couldn't remember them. So where were we? I'm watching that.
Murphy Brown,
9:00. Not a Halloween episode.
They don't seem like the kind of guys that. Did they ever do holiday?
They did holiday episodes. They did 2 Christmas episodes. I don't think they ever did a Halloween episode. This is actually a rerun from last year, but a good show. Although a show that is hard to rewatch.
I get the feeling it's of the moment.
It's incredibly of the moment where you watch it and you recognize that it's well done, but you feel like there was some sort of reading you were supposed to do before you rewatch it so you could get all the references and know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that made the show great, but it also makes it not a timeless show, although it wasn't really designed to be, I suppose. Designing Women.
Of course.
Halloween episode 2, which is a favorite. This one, Jean Smart inherits a haunted house.
Ooh.
And so the Sugar Bakers are going to give it a facelift, but there's ghosts, and it's fantastic. It's.
I really don't like Southern shows. This is the only one that I like.
You've expressed my feelings precisely. Although I liked Evening Shade, which was also done by Linda Bloodworth Thomason.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
And although I wouldn't have watched it because I would have been watching Designing Women, on the sports channel is showing surfing, which I would always watch.
Was that weird? Because I'm from Indiana and I was obsessed with surfing. I would get surfing magazines.
Me too.
People are like, why?
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Okay. It's because of The Endless Summer 2. I rented that documentary and I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I became obsessed with surfing. I had posters all over my wall. And
Yep.
people are like, you live in Indiana, we wakeboard. And I'm like, I don't give a crap about wakeboarding.
Yeah, me too. It is from Back to the Beach. People are like, what about skateboards? I'm like, nope.
Oh, I have
Losers.
terrible balance.
Yeah,
The
no.
worst.
Have you been surfing?
No, that's the irony. I lived in Pismo Beach. I never even got in the water. I'm afraid of sharks. All right.
I didn't go till like, 4 or 5 years ago I went, but I loved it. I would do it all the time if I lived near the ocean. Correction, I do live near the ocean, but if I lived in California.
Yeah, it's a lot colder where you are. My 10 o'clock choice is weird. I'm going to tell you right now, it's very weird. I couldn't find anything. 10 o'clock for me is really hard. By the way, Sunday we skipped. 10 o'clock was a TV show I've never heard of with Michael O'Keefe called Against the Law. I don't know anything about it.
I don't know that either. Yeah.
Yeah. But I wrote down One Man Out with Stephen McCaddy, which is a cool little B movie, but it's on something called PSN. What the hell's that?
PSN, I don't know.
Paramount Network or something?
No, I don't know. It will be in the beginning of the TV Guide. So this issue we're looking at is a Central Pennsylvania edition. But there should be a little... I've gone back to the beginning of the guide to look for the little key that should tell us all the abbreviations and what they mean. Let's see. PSN. Prism, which must have been some kind of pay cable channel.
Maybe, yeah. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
It's defunct pretty quickly.
Yeah. It could have been regional. There was weirdly regional pay cable channels, which is kind of silly when I think about it.
I've never heard of that until this moment right now.
Yeah, there was a few, and Prism must have been one of them.
Wait, there was one in LA, wasn't it? Like really popular. Channel Z.
Well, there was Z Channel.
Right?
Yeah, Z Channel.
Okay.
Yep, there was Z Channel. You had On TV, Prism, apparently, Spectravision. There was one called Cube, which became Nickelodeon. in a really weird
Really? I didn't know
roundabout way. Yeah, there was all kinds of strange stuff. I believe it was USA Network started as the Madison Square Garden Network. It was like it was the in-house feed for Madison Square Garden, so you could watch sporting events. Like very strange ways for that those channels evolved. So who knows? Where are we? Tuesday?
Yes, I'm sorry I segue so much. I'm sorry.
No, that's what this show's all about.
Okay, well, I guess I'll stop apologizing then.
Don't apologize. There's a great ad in here for Ames, which you probably didn't have.
What's that?
Ames,
Grocery store?
Ames was it was sort of like Target. And actually,
okay.
incidentally, when Ames went out of business is when we first got Target in the Northeast, and Target went into a lot of the defunct Ames locations.
We had Hex. They went out of business and got replaced by Walmarts.
Ooh, yeah, we weren't having Walmart. We have very few Walmarts here because we're just like, fuck you, you white trash piece of shit. But Target we're like, Target, all right, yeah. So everyone liked Target. But there's an ad in here for, buying new CDs and tapes at Ames, and you got Pebbles, New Kids on the Block, Step by Step. Oh, God. A K-Tel compilation called Twisted Metal.
Okay.
Yeah, this is some interesting.
This is a really rough time for music for me. That's why I ignored MTV completely.
I like that year.
No, I don't know what's on. I feel like it's all hair metal, but I know there's some modern rock, and that's what I'm into. I cannot. I watched the Poison video the other day just out of curiosity, and I hated myself for it.
Oh, it's terrible.
Like it's my fault.
There were some good dance bits, like that Pebbles record's pretty good.
That's fine. Yeah. Well, you like Top 40 a little bit better than I do because we talked about Tiffany and Debbie Gibson, and that was what my sister was into, and it's completely lost on me. But I am the person who at Christmas '89 got Milli Vanilli and New Kids on the Block, and my uncle looked at my father and put his wrist down and thought I was gay because of it.
Yeah, so. Well, I don't blame him. No, but that sounds about right for uncles.
Uncles do that.
Yeah, no, 1990. I mean, at this time we had Living Colour's first record came out, which is amazing.
Okay, yeah.
Which I don't know if you have, but is.
I listened to. I think the only tapes I had was In Excess, Kick, Escape Club, and the DJ Jazzy Jeff Fresh Prince.
Not
tape.
bad.
You
should get the first Living Colour record, or you could probably listen to it easily now. But it's so good. It is so good. I mean, you've heard Cult of Personality before, right?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah, I mean that's just an amazing record. Bob Mould's second solo record, Black Sheets of Rain, came out that fall. Something else came out that fall that was pretty.
Oh
good.
No, I had Jesus Jones. I forgot I had that album as well.
Right here, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw The Decade End. Yeah, Tuesday night. What are we doing?
I know you're gonna be disgruntled, but it's what I watched. It was Who's the Boss. I think it was just comfort food.
We all had a crush on Alyssa Milano.
We did. She's my first crush. I used to read those magazines my sister got. What are they called? Like Tiger Beat or Bop? Oh yeah, or something?
Bop, Tiger Beat. Some of us still do.
Can you still do that without feeling like a weirdo? Like I want to go back and revisit some of them because I remember there's a Monster Squad episode or issue of some magazine my sister had. I can't buy that. People are gonna think I'm a pedo.
I mean, I don't go through the old magazines. I look at the people now. Actually, when I had Gower on, I found some pictures of him from one of those magazines, and we had a good laugh about it. But this Who's the Boss? This is not a great episode. This is. I mean, are any of them really? But
I don't know.
As the show went on, it kind of got worse. This is not a great one. And you passed up Rescue 911.
I never have ever seen that.
Is amazing. So you know the premise of Rescue 911.
Yeah.
This one
reenactments, right?
Real calls. Really terrible reenactments. This is a Las Vegas woman who was bitten by a black widow spider, a man in Idaho who tried to rescue occupants inside a burning house trailer, a bank robber in Miami who became a smoky bandit after stealing booby-trapped cash.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty fun, and it's all hosted by William Shatner.
Yeah, he might make it fun. I don't know. I've never seen it before. I used to watch Unsolved Mysteries, but I've never seen this one.
Shatner's very serious. And they're rerunning the Horror Hall of Fame, and they give it a description this night. This is Robert Englund hosts the ceremony honoring actors, filmmakers, and others whose job it is to scare the audience. Guests appearing include Janet Leigh, Robert Bloch, Ridley Scott, Patricia Hitchcock, the director's daughter, Zelda Rubinstein, Vincent Price, this would have been right before he died, Roger Corman, George Romero, Roddy McDowell, Veronica Cartwright, Tom Skerritt, Tim Matheson, Jason Miller, and clips from Psycho, Night of the Living Dead, Alien, The Exorcist, and Arachnophobia.
Yeah, I have that for 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I had to see some of it.
That's a good
but
time.
Head of Class overrides it. Head of Class just overrides it for me. I'm sorry, I'm a huge fan.
This is the final season of Head of the Class. This is when Billy Connolly came onto the show, which was a really poor use of Billy Connolly, I think.
Yeah.
They also replaced 90% of the kids.
Yeah. Well, they were so old in the first place.
It's
My
true.
God, I watched the first season recently. I'm like, half these kids look like they have kids in high school.
Yeah, and all the seasons are on, I think, Roku TV now.
I know this. I still want to buy it, though, because
Yeah.
it's finally out on DVD. I bitched about this for years, and it's finally available.
Yeah, this is a decent episode. Billy's mugging prompts an assigned report on guns in America, and Arvid gets first-hand knowledge on the ease of buying one and the power that comes with it. So this was part 1 of 2. This was an interesting episode. I don't know if you remember this episode, but they did an interesting thing where, because Billy Connolly's Scottish, he was really like, what the hell is wrong with you in America with your guns? Which is a pretty interesting discussion for, a sitcom in 1990. And Arvid buys a gun, and they really were playing on the, who was the guy that shot the people on the subway in New York?
Bernie
Capel.
Yes, it was. He was so angry about his
yeah.
contract from
Right. Yeah. I can't remember the guy's name. But it was a big deal. It was a big deal. Nothing happened to him. And it was kind of playing, I know it too. I'm sorry, people listening. You're probably screaming it at me.
Bernie.
Yeah. But, I don't know if it was Bernie. Was it Bernie?
No, I don't know. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Pretend
Anyway.
like we know.
Anyway. Bernard Goetz. That was it.
Oh, yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
But yeah, so they were kind of playing on that in this episode, weirdly, like the picked upon nerd who buys a gun to defend himself, which is weirdly sort of way ahead of the curve on things. I mean, we're talking 1990.
Yeah. I deal with that every day because the store I work at, every day. I think I don't work in guns, but it's part of our store.
You sell guns.
Yeah, I work in foods. I work in receiving and foods, and every day I have to pass the gun section. It's always like, well, you know what they're doing in the government, trying to take all our guns. Every day.
Yeah.
Fucking
Oh, I'm
day.
sure. Yeah. See, we don't have that culture here. It's interesting. Like here in Boston, be like, you got a fucking gun? What are you, kind of fucking pussy? Like it just...
Yeah. See, that's what I think, too.
Yeah. It's like I couldn't even imagine. Like kids had knives and stuff, but like nobody would
Right.
ever... Yeah.
Doesn't an AR-15 sound like you're a terrible shot? Like, why would you be proud of owning one? See, it's like with this. I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
it's ridiculous. But this, I might go back and rewatch this specific episode. I haven't seen it since it aired, but it sounds pretty kind of groundbreaking.
Yeah,
dare I
it's
say.
well, I really think it's a smart show. It was so far ahead of its time to treating nerds like normal people. Like, not all of them look like Arvid. Yes, he was the cliche. He was the Revenge of the Nerds style character. But it was just a lot of them were just preps or just normal people. It's just that, and I was one of those kids. I was one of those that got put in special programs and advanced a couple grades, and it just spoke to me because I didn't feel like a freak
Right.
anymore. All the kids in my class treated me like I was a freak show, and I was alienated. But this show was like my comfort food.
And I really liked Howard Hessman on that show.
Yeah, he was better than Billy Connolly. I did like his spin-off show, I think.
Billy.
Did he do one after this called? Yeah, where he just moved on.
He's playing the same character, but the show was so built around Howard Hessman, and it just didn't. It didn't work with Billy Connolly. They would just have him do his stand-up as like sort of teaching the class. And it just didn't work.
Yeah, I don't like that. They've done that so many times in sitcom shows. But yeah, I was a huge WKRP fan. That's another reason why I watched Head of the Class. WKRP and Howard Hessman are the reason why I went into radio. I have a theater degree, but I was in radio for a while as well.
Huh. That is very strange.
I hated the format. That's my problem. I'm such a rebellious person that I wanted radio to be just like in the show where they played whatever they wanted to.
Right.
And when I got to reality, I was like, what? We have to do this. We have to do math. We have to make sure this lines up with this. We have to have
Right.
no. And I can't play the same 12 cards.
And why am I even here? Which is why we don't have that so much anymore. At 9, I have to imagine you went with Roseanne.
No, that's when I watched I hated Roseanne with unwavering passion. I watched Horror Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's right. But this is a Halloween episode.
I just can't. I can't do it. I love everybody except her. She drives me insane.
Oh, wow.
Even back then. Oh.
It's a great show, though.
I know.
But if you're not gonna like it, you're not gonna like it.
To be fair, my parents got me comedy stand-up specials because I started really getting into stand-up in the 80s, and they got me a Joe Piscopo special and a Roseanne Barr special, and I was stuck with those things forever because nobody wanted them, and they just weren't funny.
I know the exact Piscopo special of which you speak, and that is god-awful.
Yep.
That is god-awful. Did you go 30-something?
No, I didn't know what to pick. I chose Arsenio Hall. The guests seem interesting. I just
Henry Winkler.
Yeah, come on.
I love 30-something, and it's a Halloween episode.
Yeah, I've never seen 30-something, so maybe I'll watch that. I've missed a lot of these shows, so a lot of it's curiosity, like China Beach. I got to see these.
Yeah, I mean, and most of these are fairly easy to see now. It's interesting to sort of revisit those two as an adult, because I watch them as sort of weird childhood, not even wish fulfillment, but sort of like anthropology. Like, how do adults work, you know?
Well, I bet you if I had watched it, though, it might have brainwashed me to think I want that kind of life, because...
You calling me a yuppie? You calling me a yuppie? You think you're better than me?
Haven't you and I skipped that world?
Yeah. Oh, totally. But I still loved it at the time.
Yeah, but I look at it and go, no, I'm good. If I see a kid freaking out in the store, I will literally take that price scanner on my testicles and hoping that it makes me stare.
Yeah, I'm glad that I haven't done that to the world. But, you know, maybe it's just because I watched so much of it as a kid, I got it completely out of my system.
But we do have kids. We have our puppies.
That's true. Although they will not take care of me when I'm old. And that is... But
that is true. That's the only reason you have kids. They're just cheaper labor.
Well, that's the joke I always make. The only time I regret not having children is when I'm shoveling snow.
I know. I knew that was one of your bits. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so but it's true. Wednesday, what'd you do?
I started off with Creepshow. I love the first half Creepshow. I bail on the bug segment.
They're creeping up on you.
I can't do it.
So USA Network was showing an hour-long Scooby-Doo special at 7 o'clock called Headless Horseman of Halloween, which is a Scooby-Doo retelling of Sleepy Hollow, which is
okay.
Not
I would have watched that. I didn't know. I didn't
fun.
See that.
Well, it was outside of the purview that I gave you, so it's my fault.
Okay.
Then Growing Pains is showing a 2-part Halloween episode from their second to last season here. It's a weird anthology episode where they're all telling each other ghost stories, and it's very funny and very strange.
I bailed on Growing Pains when Just the 10 of Us got canceled.
Yes.
That's why I was there, and when it was over with, I was like, nope, done.
As well you should, but this episode features Jamie Luner is in it, and Heather Langenkamp is in it, and a bunch of the leftover people from Just 10 of Us worked on this episode, this 2-parter, and it's the last.
Okay, you know what?
It's the last one.
I'll rewrite it.
Yeah,
I can watch Creepshow anytime. I'll watch that instead.
Excellent. All right, so you're watching that. Then at 9 o'clock, what'd you do?
Doogie.
I hate Doogie Hauser so much.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I remember watching it all the time.
Max Casella.
Isn't this the one where they make the movie? They make the zombie movie?
Yeah, they make a zombie movie, which...
I remember that one.
Sounds pretty standard now, but that was a really unusual plot for 1990. Like, a zombie movie was pretty unheard of.
Right. Well, wasn't the genre basically dead? I mean, yes, in like what a week ago or so, we had the remake of Night of the Living Dead, but zombie movies were kind of passé for a while. Oh well,
I mean, there just wasn't that many, to be honest. Like, it was only Romero and Return of the Living Dead.
Italy with 9,000 of them.
But even Italy, there wasn't that many. There's like 6.
There's so many.
There's like
gross.
They are, and they weren't very mainstream. So it's kind of a weird, obscure thing to have in the plot of this episode. I vaguely remember this episode. I feel like I should go back and watch it because maybe I'll like it. But I just didn't like the show.
Yeah, this is literally the only episode I remember. So
I definitely watched it, but I was like, I just don't like Neil Patrick Harris.
No, even now.
Even now, he just...
I don't like that show, How I Met Your Mother. It's so obvious.
I find his whole shtick annoying.
Yeah.
But I know people love him. The Midnight Hours on Lifetime, the 1985 made-for-TV movie, which is one of my all-time favorites.
That's why I didn't choose that one, because I knew you were going to choose it. I just watched it again. It's still great.
It's great. And there's a movie, a USA made-for-cable original movie called Nightmare on the 13th Floor.
Now, I've seen this.
I've never seen this.
I didn't have cable, so I must have seen it a couple years later in a rerun. Michelle Little, right, from My Demon Lover?
Yes. And James Brolin is in it as well.
Oh, I love James Brolin.
This is Obvious Twists and Turns, Massacre, This Frightful Tale of the Occult. Gives it 1 star.
Yeah, but it's a horror movie that you can watch on television. Back then, it was so hard for me to see any of this stuff because it had to be edited. What? Do you still remember like the first handful of horror movies you were able to see?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my parents took me to see them in the theater.
What?
Oh, yeah. My dad made me see Tourist Trap, although that was rated PG, but it's horrifying.
How old were you? Did they re-release this?
Oh, maybe 2 or 3? 3 or 4?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Nightmare on Elm Street in the theater. I was 4.
This is mind-blowing for me.
Return of the Living Dead. Day of the Dead. Saw in the theater. Yeah, I saw all that stuff in the theater.
I had to see everything that was taped off television. So, like, I remember the first ones were Return of the Living Dead, Deadly Friend, Mutant with Wings Hauser.
Oh, yes.
God, there's a couple others in there. But I just feel like a lot of Popcorn. Was a
Popcorn's
special
amazing.
Elvira. Yeah, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. A lot of these I got to tape off. That's not really a horror movie, but you know what I mean.
Right.
But they're not all those are good. Deadly Friend is ridiculous, but I've seen them so many times that they're just permanently locked in my brain as I'm nostalgic for them.
It's the actual TV edits?
Yeah, I know. I even know when the commercial breaks are in some of these movies when I watch them now.
You know the Return of the Living Dead TV edit thing, right?
No, I don't remember.
Oh, so you know how in the actual, well, maybe you don't because you've only seen the TV edit, but
no, actually, I did see it a couple years ago, the full thing.
So the character that Tom, what's his name, plays, the Freddy, the main guy, he's got a
the one from Friday the 13th, right?
6, yeah. He's got a varsity jacket, and in the movie it says "fuck you" on the back.
Really, it does?
In like varsity letters, right? But they reshot every scene that he wears it with an alternate jacket for TV, and it says TV version on the back. Which is hilarious.
I don't even remember that. Well, that's the one that traumatized me the most of all of those, so I only watched it a couple times. The other ones, I don't know why did that bother me so much, but Mutant didn't bother me in any way whatsoever. It's so strange.
Yeah, and Mutant's like a... Well, I can't say it's more of a downer of a movie because in the ending of Return of the Living Dead, they all die.
That's true.
But
that one wins.
Mutant's pretty grim.
Yeah.
That is a grim movie. Yeah, the Riff Tracks version's pretty good. I would recommend.
I have that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I derailed again. Married People is the next thing I went with.
I don't remember the show. I don't remember the show at all.
I think it was Bess Armstrong, Jay Thomas, but we watched it because we were fans of Chris Young.
Okay. Because you liked The Great Outdoors.
Correct, yeah. I think it was 3 couples. They live in one townhouse in San Francisco, and it's all about their relationship. I just remember watching it a lot.
This one sounds interesting. My dogs are all just eating.
It's okay. I'm happy for them.
So this one is weird. They think they see a ghost, and the ghost is played by Vincent Schiavelli.
Ooh.
Which is interesting enough on its own, but is extra interesting because if we think back to Saturday Night, the reason Patrick Swayze was hosting Saturday Night Live is because he was promoting Ghost, and Ghost features a ghost played by Vincent Schiavelli.
I forgot he was even in that. Every time I think of him, I just think of Fast Times or Night Shift.
Yeah, see, I always think of Lord of the Illusions.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Fast Times, of course. But yeah, yes. I'm curious to see this now because that's a really of the moment him playing his own character, like is basically the same character from a current film. I
would have loved it if he played Mr. Vargas from Fast Times. If he had just been the teacher, he had too much sex with that lady and he killed him.
Holds up guts and stuff. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Then what'd you do?
Okay, I've never seen this show. I've never even heard of it before. But what I read about it and looked interesting is WIOU because I was interested in what news was like before 24-hour cable news where it's all sensationalized. And I like the cast. John Shea. Oh, darn it. She was in Tremors 2, a Canadian actress.
Oh, yeah. Helen Shaver.
Thank you, Helen Shaver.
Yep. Dick Van Patten.
Yeah, and it has the guy from the judge from Ghostbusters 2. He's like really rough. Harris Yulin, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So the cast looked good. The show looked interesting, so I'm going to check it out. I don't know how long it lasted.
I never heard of the show either. I'm assuming it was canceled by mid-season because that Cop Rock and Hull High must have been gone that year. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to have to see if I can find an episode of that. Huh,
I couldn't find anything.
I'll go with that too.
Okay, cool.
Thursday, what'd you do?
This is where it gets a little cliche and tired. I have to do Simpsons.
Okay.
The animation's rough, but I think the stories are still strong.
This is the first year of The Simpsons, first full year. We had the holiday special in 1990 as well, but this is the first season. This was Fox going all out, going head-to-head with Cosby, and doing well, which is pretty impressive. This is the episode with Blinky the Three-Eyed Fish, which was one of the most notorious early episodes. Yeah. I distinctly remember watching this one and loved it. I may have watched that, but also Halloween 3 is playing, so...
I just starting to rediscover my love for that, because I always thought there was interesting elements, and I loved the beginning, but I always felt it derailed. But I just watched it again after years, and I finally get it. And in fact, I think I like it more because I'm sick and tired of Michael Myers.
Yeah, I still wish they did that as an anthology series.
Yeah, they just started it off with number 2 that way, yeah.
I'm glad that people have come around to it, but it is the best.
What if he had done a lot of his movies as just Halloween sequels? What if The Fog was Halloween 2 instead? You know, and
or Prince of Darkness, or and the Month of Madness, or absolutely. There's also a show that Discovery Channel aired all the time that I have on DVD now, and I rewatch, and it's really fun to watch at Halloween. Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World. It's sci-fi writer Arthur C. Clarke, and the inventor of the satellite, by the way.
Really?
Yep. He invented the satellite, and it is him. It's sort of a Ripley's Believe It or Not, but he hosts it.
Oh, okay. I like Ripley's. That was fun.
So this
was pretty cool too.
This is attempts to discern the origins of ancient drawings found in England. So that sounds pretty fun. I would have watched that. I watched that time. And then I'm going Flash.
Gotta go Flash. It's not prime Flash. I don't think it. This feels like it was really early on before they started adding all the villains that we know and love.
Yeah,
right. This is who's the villain in this one?
This one is a drug lord and his henchmen are behind Barry's extended blackouts, so they basically are sort of drugging him into doing their work for him.
Right, I remember that one. Yeah.
So I mean, the first villain we got was Mark Hamill, I think, as the trickster, and I think we got Miguel Ferrer was the weather wizard.
One of them. Yeah. We had. Mirror Master was who's the guy from Partridge Family, the one that passed away?
Oh,
I think he was
David Cassidy. It was David Cassidy
was Mirror Master.
Yeah.
And we had Captain Cold and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah.
That's when it really started getting good, but it was so expensive. There's so much competition, they just couldn't keep it going.
Yeah, and the other thing was the Gulf War interrupted so much of it.
Yeah.
And they tried an interesting thing though. They aired an hour-long show starting at 8:30, so they figured that would help them by grabbing that audience a half hour earlier. And they're going to watch the whole hour, and they're not going to watch the 9 o'clock show because they're watching the second half of The Flash. And it was a weird gamble that didn't work.
I heard John Wesley Shipp is like the coolest dude.
He's awesome. I've had him on the show.
Oh, really? Yeah, my friend Josh Ridgway directed a movie with him years ago, and he said he was just the nicest guy.
Super nice guy, incredibly humble, like just a hardworking, nice dude. The show Babes is on, so I feel the need to mention it.
Yes, I feel like I discovered Dr. Doctor, which was my selection in syndication on USA.
Right.
But I believe I did watch Babes. I can't remember.
Dr. Doctor was Matt Frewer, who was Trash Can Man in The Stand, but was also Max Headroom. He's Pestilence on Supernatural. And was a pretty typical sitcom. Babes was about fat women that lived together and was incredibly offensive.
But Wendy Jo Sperber's so great, though.
Oh, it was a great cast. Rick Overton was in it. This episode, Club Cabo promises a tropical vacation paradise, but it's no fantasy island when the sisters end up in a shabby outpost run by a tacky showman played by Cesar Romero.
Oh my God, he was still alive?
And a lecherous dwarf played by Hervé Vallachez.
Oh, Okay, wow, Fox are just throwing shit at the wall and stealing stuff.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yep.
I'm going back to Dr. Doctor. Dr. Doctor at least attempted some serious content in with the wacky comedy, which I think is my favorite. I watch some of the shows now from the 80s, and I kind of like the ones that are stage plays. I'm a huge fan of Facts of Life. And it's those episodes that are important that I really remember. And I think that's kind of ditched. Everybody's kind of an asshole in sitcoms now. I mean, I don't want wholesome like Full House, but I want something in the middle.
Yeah, it's very superficial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should revisit Dr. Doctor. I have a couple episodes that I might go back and watch. What'd you do at 9?
No, at 10.
Oh,
Dr. Doctor's at Netflix. Okay, I have not seen this movie, but it looked really interesting. This House Possessed. The cast looked cool. I've never seen it, but I kind of... It's Halloween, so why not?
I do want to mention at 9:30 against Dr. Doctor, which is the show I would have gone with, is Grand, which was a mid-season replacement in 1990, and got a second season, but was canceled by the midpoint of 1990. So the show had 2 seasons in one calendar year. And
is Grand the one with... Oh, I can't remember her name, but she was in The Lonely Guy. Right?
Sarah Rue is in it, Pamela Reed, Bonnie Hunt, you have Joel Murray.
Okay.
It's Michael McKean. It was a great, weird... It was kind of like Soap, but not as wacky, and was sort of a dramedy. And is a really, really great show. It's really good, and I've rewatched it.
I think I have seen that. But there's a show I'm thinking of. I thought that was Grand. I'll look it up while you're talking. I'm cheating. I know you're not supposed to look it up.
That's quite all right. You can look it up. So you're looking at This House Possessed. Where am I seeing This House Possessed? That's in the House of Breed. Where the hell?
Wouldn't it be funny if I just made up something just to stall?
No, that is. Oh, it started at 10:05 because it's on TBS. Yes, that's from 1981. Parker Stevenson plays a rock singer, which is already funny, who owns a secluded mansion estate that harbors a sinister lore.
I think I watched Baywatch, and I only liked when Parker Stevenson was on.
It's first season.
Yeah. Oh, the show was called Down Home. It was with Judith Ivey. I got that confused with Grand. Never mind. That was the same year, though. That's weird. How did I miss that?
Never even heard of that show.
Yeah, it was really funny.
I mean, the title sounds way too Southern for me.
Yeah, it probably was.
But Grand is such a good show. I wish that it was able to be seen more easily now. Friday night, final night of the week.
Oh God, this is the end.
We've gone past Halloween by 2 days, so the Halloween content is gone.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed. I thought there'd be some more stuff, but this is like during, like you said, the slower period. It's like 10 years from now, everything's horror. AMC is just all
Although, I mean, like Nick at Night's showing Alfred Hitchcock marathons, and they're showing some stuff, and it's in there.
So I went with it's a dad movie, but it's a good dad movie. The Package. I don't know.
Is that with who is in that?
Hackman,
I don't know that movie.
Tommy Lee Jones. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name. She's in Blade Runner. She's a really tall redhead lady. I think she was on your show.
Oh yeah, Joanna Cassidy.
Joanna Cassidy is the bomb in this. She's
great
badass.
in everything.
And Pam Grier's in it, and it's directed by Andrew Davis, who is the only guy that can direct some of these. Like Code of Silence is the only good Chuck Norris movie. I argue there is no good Steven Seagal movie. Under Siege is just tolerable.
I enjoy
a good director.
Out for Justice and Hard to Kill and Mark for Death, but
yeah, you like Mark for Death. Well, that one's more of a horror movie. I get that one.
Screw face had a brother.
The Package, though, is just like one of these lean and mean conspiracy. It fucking moves like a rocket, and you just don't expect it to because it's Gene Hackman. I really, really like this movie.
I'm going to have to see that. I vaguely remember it. I've hung out at Joanna Cassidy's house. No big deal. I seen her Nagel painting of her. I seen the Blade Runner costume that she still has in her garage.
That's freaking rad. Does she know she's awesome? I think she knows she's awesome, but she doesn't talk about how awesome
she's very humble. She's super cool. I also did a panel screening of Blade Runner with her a few years ago too. She's
in my head, I gotta tell you though, this is embarrassing. For the longest time when I was a kid, I couldn't tell the difference between her and Jo Beth Williams. I kept getting confused. I know it seems silly now.
I mean, kids have weird things. They're nothing alike, but I'm not going to fault you for that.
Okay, cool.
Evening Shade is on, which I used to like, but there is Full House, which I probably watched, but I really
How
didn't
is Summer School created by the same guy? Summer School's so awesome.
The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is on, and it's the 1981 made-for-TV version starring Jeff Goldblum and Meg Foster.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I almost went with that.
Is pretty good, and it didn't air that often, so I would have been probably watching that.
I sold the shit out of that VHS when I used to collect VHS. I had 10,000 tapes, people. I sold that thing like crazy.
That went for good money.
Yeah.
I used to make so much money on out-of-print VHS tapes. There's a show called Over My Dead Body, which is Edward Woodward in a comedy.
I don't know about that. I thought about it, and I was like, I don't know if he's funny. But I like, who's the lady with him? Joanna Lundy or something?
Diana Barton. Jessica Lundy.
Thank you. She was from Rocket Man.
Yes, yeah. Jay Underwood is on the show. That's weird. 9 o'clock, I got to go Night Court. Like, I'm a Night Court guy.
There's no doubt about it. You've got to go with Night Court. Maybe the best show of this era. I love Newhart and Cheers, but there's something about Night Court that really affected me.
This is a classic Night Court. It's reusing a plot from Barney Miller. They're quarantined in the court. A vial containing an experimental virus spills, and the staff is quarantined overnight in the courtroom where they reminisce about turning points in their lives. So this is a classic one. I always enjoyed this episode. And then at 9:30, I got to go Ray Bradbury Theater on USA Network. This is the premiere of the USA version, and this episode stars Sally Kellerman. Then we get Swamp Thing.
Night Court wasn't an hour? Uh-oh. I lost one of my choices.
It's only a half hour.
Let's pretend that I'll watch Ray Bradbury too, sure.
Okay. Going Places was on after Night Court.
Yeah, I think I watched it. Is it Heather Locklear? I'm not gonna know.
Yep, Heather Locklear, Alan Ruck was kind of a Friends yuppie show like 4 years before that. It's not great. Midnight Caller's on, which is a show
that was mine. We watched that all the time.
A prison riot puts Jack behind bars. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
where he is asked to meet the leaders of the uprising who want to voice their grievances. Part 1 of 2.
That's weird. How did he end up in the prison in the first place?
Well, they must have hired him to go in there to like undercover figure out why the riot happened.
Wait, hold on. I haven't seen the show in a long time. Was he a cop? I thought he was just a DJ.
He's like a private investigator. DJ. Oh. He's DJs, and he's a private investigator.
Anything to do with radio, though, I was obsessed with.
Yeah, Pump Up the Volume was 1990 as well. FM. You also had the new WKRP in Cincinnati.
Oh, that's not nowhere near this good. Throb? That was a radio show, right?
Throb was a record label. Yeah, Throb was a record label.
I did watch that all the time,
though. Throb wasn't great. The Hitchhiker that night, speaking of facts of life, a lonely woman fears her husband is being unfaithful and threatens to frame him as the killer at large as a last attempt to keep him loyal. And that woman is played by Nancy McKeon.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect. Who's the blonde one again? Nancy? No, blonde.
No.
Lisa Whelchel, right?
Lisa Whelchel, yeah.
Yeah, I would never in a million years expect her to be on Hitchhiker.
No, Nancy McKeon she's got a Hitchhiker vibe.
I've never seen that show. Is it good?
The Hitchhiker? I mean, it's pretty bad. It's very funny in a slow, weird 80s horror anthology way where they're like, we're on cable.
Like Red Shoe Diaries kind of thing, but just without so much sex.
Oh, yeah. They're on cable. We can show boobs. And there's a really weird one with Klaus Kinski. It's very neon, slow motion, glass bricks, that kind of thing. But it's not a great show, but I watched it every week because it was a horror show, sort of. And then Swamp Thing, which I was so excited about because I loved the movies. I was a huge reader of the comics, and the show is awful.
Did you do you prefer the Bernie Wrightson run, or do you like the was it Neil Gaiman? It wasn't Neil Gaiman.
No, it was Alan Moore. It was the first thing Alan Moore did in America. Rick Veitch also picked it up after that. It was Alan Moore and Stephen Bissett. I like all of it, to be honest with you. The Alan Moore run, though, is amazing.
That's where it loses me. That's where it loses. I don't know. I'm not as smart as I wish I was.
It's really good.
Alan Moore is so difficult for me to get into.
Really? Because the Swamp Thing stuff's like his most accessible stuff.
I know, which is rough, which is considering. But I forgot to ask you, with The Flash, do you prefer Wally West or Barry Allen?
Barry Allen.
Really?
Okay, Barry Allen. Barry Allen's The Flash. I don't like how they've made it Wally West.
I love Wally. Well, it's the same thing with Green Lantern. I was a Kyle guy and not a Hal Jordan guy.
I like the version of Wally West that is in Justice League, the cartoon.
Oh, yes, definitely.
But I'm
have you had him on the show?
I have.
Michael Rosenbaum?
I have.
He is a hoot.
Yeah, his podcast is very good as well.
Yeah, I saw him at a convention a few years ago, and he was just so entertaining. And I got too nervous to ask him about, because he grew up in Indiana as well. I was going to say something about that. And I was like, I can't. I'm shaking uncontrollably.
I talked to him about that. He's a very nice guy. He's Tom Arnold's son's godfather.
Oh.
There you go. There's a fun bit of information there. We have Cheers and Jeers TV Guide. It's not just informative. It has opinions and a cheers and a jeers. I'm going to read you the Cheers and Jeers from this week and see if you agree or disagree.
Okay.
We get 2 cheers, 2 jeers. It starts with a cheer, but do you want to start with a cheer, end with a jeer, or do you have a preference?
Surprise me.
So we start with a cheer to John Wesley Shipp.
Of course.
Barry Allen in CBS's The Flash for overcoming odds even a comic book superhero would find intimidating. Surely when the former soap star accepted the part, he knew he'd invite comparisons to the performances by Michael Keaton as Batman, Christopher Reeve as Superman, and Warren Beatty as Dick Tracy. Without benefit of the big screen treatment, however, Shipp runs circles around his competition and brings a self-effacing charm, subtle sense of humor, and genuine sensitivity to his square-jawed Scarlet Speedster. Thankfully, CBS has spared The Flash and given its star a chance to shine by taking the series out of the Bart Simpson, Bill Cosby crossfire. We'd say the show is a ship shape.
Yeah, and that's just right when the show got good, and then they just canceled it. But I think
too
he's
late.
fantastic. I think people don't like actors like him. Like, they don't shine because he's too normal, and they don't become movie stars. And there's nothing wrong with being an everyman.
I mean, he's a handsome guy. Yeah, but he's great on the new Flash.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, I watched every single damn episode of Dawson's Creek, and I was really sad when they killed him off. Sorry, kids, spoilers.
Have you watched the new Flash?
Yeah, I watched the first couple seasons. I haven't got back to it. There's so much now. Back in the day, every show lasted 13 episodes. That was cool, and you could finish it. Now I can't.
But they essentially do Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I know.
And he plays Barry Allen from the 1990 Flash.
Can I ask you, does Blue Devil show up?
Blue Devil does show up.
Yes!
Yeah, I mean, he's in the costume from this series as that Flash, and it's pretty cool.
Oh, I think you meant Blue Devil. Darn.
Oh, no.
Did he show up in the costume? I don't know why I like the Blue Devil. It's so stupid. I like Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, and Blue Devil are like the sea-level.
It was very weird, too, because they tried to reinvent Blue Devil as like a supernatural, like, demonic character, which he sort of was, but he was a goofy... It was like a kid's comic. He was more like
Well, he was a stunt man, right? And
he got stuck in the stunt costume. Yeah, but they tried to make him an actual demon later. It was silly. Jeers to ABC's Primetime Live for taking journalistic detachment a little too far. In a recent report on patient abuse in Cleveland's VA Medical Center, a hidden camera recorded 3 days during which, a paralyzed man was left virtually to starve because no staffers would feed him. Primetime's reporting team didn't either because it would have changed their gauge of the hospital's true response. Our response? 1 day was long enough. If, as host Diane Sawyer promises the investigations continue, let's hope they proceed with a little more compassion. I gotta agree with that.
3 days?
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Cheers to Susan Day and Corbin Burnson of NBC's LA Law for donating their talent to co-host Campus Rape, a 20-minute film that examines the problems and prevention of sexual assaults on students. A recent survey indicated that 1 in 6 college women is a victim of rape or attempted rape. This no-nonsense film, produced by the Rape Threat Treatment Center at Santa Monica Hospital, explores the crimes and its impact through interviews with students, victims, and actress Kelly McGillis, herself a victim of rape. This is one college course that should be made available on every campus. I have never heard of this, and that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I went to a really shitty college, and this was an overwhelming plague that everybody ignored. And it was the same thing in my high school. I don't understand this mentality, but we actually ended up on Unsolved Mysteries because of one of our students at my college, because that happened to her, and then she died.
Jesus Christ.
No. I don't want to take it dark, but she was killed, and this guy got away with it, and he killed another one, and actually was really good friends with the second person he killed. This is all an unsolved mysteries, and it's because nobody paid attention. No one bothered to focus on...
Did he go to jail eventually?
Yeah, they finally got him. Jesus, it took so long. I didn't even know this. It just kind of... it took years to catch him.
I mean, I was not very social in high school or college, but if I had known about any of that, I would have easily beaten several people to death.
Yeah.
I have to agree with that cheer, although a dark cheer.
Yeah.
And finally, jeers. This one's controversial. You may not have an opinion on it, you'll see why in a moment. To ABC's Twin Peaks for keeping us guessing too long. In the first season, the show's leisurely storytelling was a refreshing alternative to the pulse-quickening pace of most primetime series. But now it's becoming irksome. Even if Who Killed Laura Palmer plot is resolved by the time this series sees print, it was dragged out to absurdity. Sure, that's one of the qualities we love about the show, but even diehard fans have their limits. In the season's second episode, a diminutive David Lynch lookalike, actually played by director David Lynch's son Austin, snaps his fingers and says, "Sometimes things happen just like this. If only Austin's daddy could do the same."
Wow. I don't have an opinion, but I know from my frustration with Lost that I never finished. I get it.
No, they're missing the point, man. The whole point is that it's a mystery.
Oh.
And once you find it out, the show dies. There's no point.
Is the show done? I thought they were coming back again. Or am I thinking of X-Files? Oh.
I'm not sure, but I mean, they missed the whole point here. That is the most wrong jeer I've ever read in a TV guide. I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, did they jeer Get a Life? So I can't agree with that either.
No, they gave Get a Life a good review.
Ooh, good.
Yeah,
nice.
It gets a good review, although they, for some reason, think that Chris Elliott is a stand-up comedian, which he's not. But, yeah, but they like the show. So who knows? Well, that is the week. My favorite issue of TV Guide. Do you see why it's my favorite?
Yes, I can. Totally.
There's also, I forgot about this. There's an article in here about TV books. And what they mean is like books that are based on TV shows.
Oh, V. I was a horrid collector of the V books.
Oh, I have a stack right next to me, but some of these...
Literally?
I did. Yeah, I literally do. I have the New England Resistance right here. Some of the, like Secret Diary of Laura Palmer is here, but there are some of these I did not know existed. And one of them is Thirtysomething Stories, which is like 30-something episodes in a book format.
Wait, so they're not unaired episodes? Like, some of the stuff is too expensive. You know how they did it with Roswell and Buffy?
Oh, yeah.
It was just too big of an
this
idea?
This is just like scripts and other episodes and like fan fiction almost, but written by the writers.
How popular was this show?
Oh, it was huge.
Really?
Yeah, it was a massive show.
All right, I didn't miss that.
Yeah, it was enormous. It changed the face of television. It truly did.
Wow, okay.
But yeah.
Guess I was too busy watching Houston Nights.
Yeah, well, I've never read them, but now I'm kind of interested. And Ken Ober, no longer with us. There's a lot of dead people in this issue. Well, that is the issue. Anything you're watching in lockdown?
Yeah, I could just catch up. I went Blu-ray crazy.
Okay.
All sorts of. Okay, so I always thought it was stupid. Oh, I don't need a limited edition slipcover Blu-ray, and then slowly it leaked into my brain, and I went overboard. So TV shows, just Cobra Kai. But I bought a shit ton of complete series that I need to get around to. I have like a case of complete series.
Oh, what's first on the pile?
Oh, I don't know. I really want to get back to Parker Lewis. I'm on season 1. I got season 2. My God, do you want me to tell? I can't remember all of them. I bought so many. Riptide. I've got the complete series imported from Canada. I love Riptide. Come on, Tom Bray is my hero. Not the other two guys. I have all of News Radio, all of Seinfeld, all of Just Shoot Me. Don't you judge me.
Hey, I don't even think I've seen a full episode.
Okay, Stargate. Yeah, I just been collecting them like crazy, and eventually I'll get to them.
I've never seen Stargate either, not even the movie.
No, really? The movie is okay. The series is better. It just gives them more time to develop the characters. I have Voyagers, the complete series. I want to rewatch.
Nice.
That's my favorite sci-fi show. I know it's ridiculous, but I loved it as a kid.
Well, it's the U.S. Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, it's just... I love the fact that they teamed up with Scholastic, and when I was a child, it really got me into reading.
Well, I was a Troll Book Club guy.
What's the magazine you used to get from in school? Is it Scholastic? Where you order books from? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was Scholastic, but there was also Troll Book Club, which was like the the underdog Scholastic.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it was great. They always had
Scholastic's where I got Bananas magazine.
Of course. Of course you did. Of course you did. My God.
Are we the same person? Really? Just with you have better hair and you're taller than me because of so many things.
It's possible. It's possible. Okay.
Like I'm the Bizarro version. I'm Reneth Keed.
Well, you could be the West Coast franchise.
Okay. That's so weird. This is coming to an end. This is heartbreaking.
Well, we'll do it again in 6 years. We'll come back to this spot.
Well,
and
next we always do Halloween, so next year you're gonna be a victim on my show. So
right, we'll do it at your.
We gotta do Midnight Hour. I mean, we've never discussed Midnight Hour.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Okay. All right, it's a date. There you go. That's Michael. Great chat. It was great to talk to him. I'm glad we finally got to do it. It took a global pandemic and me giving in to doing things remote because I had no choice, but God damn it, we did it. Speaking of doing things, don't forget, go to magicspoon.com/TVGC or put in TVGC at checkout. You get free shipping, and maybe I'll do like a live serial cartoon watch along. Let me know if you want me to do that. Email me at tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or ken@icanread.com or at tvguidance or at Kenneth W. Reed on social media. Let me know if that is something you would be into, or for the patrons, who I thank you again, let me know if that'd be something you'd want to do as like a patron. I hate to say bonus because I'm like doing things with me as a bonus, but if that's something you'd want to do, we could do that as well. So you can message me on patreon.com/TV Guidance Counselor. Anyway, look forward to hearing from you guys, and we'll be here again next week for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.
If I see a kid freaking out in the store, I will literally take that price scanner on my testicles and hoping that it makes me stare.